Let's go to CFTC. Yes, that's right. The Commodity and Futures Trading Commission, over a fifth of all their cases in 2022 among weird soybean futures and gold falsification things, over a fifth of the things within their remit that they cracked down on were crypto related. It's a pretty big number relative to the many things that are in their orbit. So we'll talk about that. CFTC definitely stepping up its role in crypto enforcement, sort of, kind of, maybe seen as the more nice regulator compared to the SEC, but clearly they've taken some pretty dramatic steps, most recently against UkiDAO, which puts the idea of DAOs in the US a bit in jeopardy going forward. So I'm going to toss this straight to Jen for her thoughts on the CFTC thing. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, every time we read about the CFTC, the piece about the CFTC's budget comes up and how previously they've had a really small budget. In this article, it talks about how they've been able to do a really lot and collect a lot of fines compared to their operating budget, which I think was mentioned at $240 million. I think the crypto industry is the CFTC's time to shine. Their time to be in the spotlight if they can get it right. I think that's how they're looking at it. And the fact that Benham keeps bringing up that budget, I think they're seeing this as an opportunity for the CFTC to finally get the budget that they've probably been asking for year after year if they can really figure out this crypto thing. So I think that they're looking at it a little bit opportunistically for their department, but if they are able to figure it out and if they are able to create clear regulation, then sure, I think they deserve that budget that they've been asking for. Will, what do you think?
Yeah, 20% seems a little low. I'm wondering what else they're going after. Is there that much other stuff going on the CFTC needs to track down? It's like, think about it. I mean, the last story was talking about the token. Like, there's so many things like that you could just like pick up, slap some fines on somebody and keep moving. There's so many different tokens out there that the CFTC or SEC can go after. I'm surprised that it's not actually a higher percentage at this point. That might tell to you a little bit about like how difficult it is to track down some of these operators out there and if they're US based or not. Besides that, I don't have much on the story. Like CFTC and SEC continue to duke it out for who gets control over the Bitcoin markets, Ethereum markets, and crypto in general. And this seems to be just like another little mark in the story that we can keep watching. There's no firm information yet on who's going to get to regulate either of those industries. Zach, back to you.
Will, with the GigaBrain take, like, what are the other 80%? And the other 80% are glorious. It is like CFTC? It's like big fines for soybean futures and like the largest benchmark manipulation case in the US gas and oil markets. So it is crazy how many things the CFTC deals with. And it does kind of like make you wonder if they have enough crypto specialists out there who are also like in the weeds of like soybean futures manipulation. I just always find that super funny. And if there was like a CoinDesk, like CoinDesk would put so much damn shine on the CFTC and its regulatory efforts because they do so much. They just do so much. Anyway, Sam, I'm tossing it over to you.
Yeah, a couple thoughts here. One, I just want to have a good time and bring this back to Do Kwon really quick. I just think, that he's Korean. That was a Korean company in a lot of ways, even though he moved to Singapore. Blah, 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 all those caveats out of the way. I just think it's crazy that a person feels comfortable. He has been served by the SEC, at least for things related to Terra in the past. I just think it's crazy that founders are comfortable enough going on interviews and saying, hey, I lied to people or deceived them in some way. He wouldn't say he lied, but he says he played a role in deceiving people. I think the fact that somebody who is on the run feels that comfortable saying that to a journalist shows how still unclear the regulatory environment is. But then I just want to like move it to something that's more directly related to this whole CFTC thing. I wish we had Cheyenne and Nick, two of our fantastic regulatory reporters, here with us today to tell me, maybe some of you can help illuminate this for me. How am I to look into the CFTC's decisions? For example, the whole Oki case that we had a week or 2 or 3 weeks ago. Will part of that 20% be the CFTC trying to push back against this reputation as the friendlier crypto regulatory body? Or do you think that we should expect these 20% of cases to be them actually setting precedent that is unrelated from them, trying to varnish their reputation in one direction or another? I don't know if that question makes sense, but that's another lens, I guess, with which we can look at that 20% number. How are they using these cases? I don't know.
I mean, broadly
I see
speaking,
lots
right?
of
It's
nodding.
this.
Does anyone
I mean,
know?
I'll take it. Let's go. So broadly speaking, it's probably like
Yeah.
sort of this regulation by enforcement approach. And I think if you were to ask them, they say, "Hey, we're weeding out bad guys from the U.S.'s financial markets, right? You shouldn't be able to game the system in such a way. Whether the SEC or the CFTC is undertaking these actions, it still is ultimately about consumer protection and making fair and equitable markets, right? There are questions that are touching crypto that don't complicate that approach, right? Some stuff, it really is an outright scam, right? You took someone's money, you failed to provide what you said you're providing. Some of that stuff is that. Other stuff speaks to the tension between crypto frameworks and current regulatory frameworks in the real world, right? So I think it's going to be a grab bag, and I think the DAO stuff is the latter, right? It's like, okay, it's a framework question. It's a square peg and a round hole. Is there any way to make these two things talk to each other in a way that makes sense for good actors who are looking to build with these new technologies? And then the other stuff is probably some bad actors out there who are doing stuff that really is unambiguously not good, right? And I think it's probably got to be a mix of both. But I'm going to give Jen the last word on this one. Jen, what do you got?
I mean, I think you said it. All I was going to say was I think the CFTC is the nicer bad guy right now. And this whole idea of the CFTC being friendly towards crypto, if they were to become the cop on the beat to regulate the crypto industry, the industry is going to have the same problems that they are expressing about the SEC, is what I think. At the end of the day, these are regulators. They're looking at investor protection. I don't think that we have the proper flexibility and frameworks to actually give the industry the freedom that they are calling for. And so I think they're the nicer bad guy, but at the end of the day, they're still the cop that's going to come down on the industry.